All right. Good evening. I hope the people that were on earlier were able to jump on. For those of you that are watching this on replay, I had to X out of the first live stream after a minute because there was an audio issue. So we're going to try this again. And normally I would like to go into it, but I don't want the same thing to. You could hear me. Okay, awesome. Wonderful. Good morning, Kevin. How are you? I was thinking about you earlier today. All right. Good evening and welcome to Wolf of Bricks After Dark on a Friday evening. My name is Jim. Of course, hopefully you should know that. So that's right. Let's go. So we're just going to do a couple housekeeping items. This call will last for an hour. Usually I let it go to whenever. There was a scheduling conflict. My wife had some other plans outside of the house, which meant I had to drug up my little one with melatonin. So she's asleep, but my 6-year-old is upstairs. 7-year-old, he just turned 7. He's upstairs. I bribed him with a movie and some other candies and whatnot. So right now everything is quiet. I do need to apologize ahead of time if I have to hop off of here because I told my son if there's an emergency, come get me. But my hopefully my wife should be home soon. But this will conclude after an hour. I just wanted to get that out of the way, and I apologize for not taking it until its normal course, which is usually just an hour and 20 minutes. So we're not going to have that short of a live chat, if you want to call it that. So before we get into the questions, I have some news. So this was just a crazy week, right? I mean, there was ups and downs. I hope everybody had a better week than I am. I just don't want to get into the details because people would be like, oh my gosh. But I am going to Brick World Chicago. So that is something I have yet to share with everybody. Now, this does not mean that I won't be going to Brick World or Brick Fair, Virginia. I still plan on going to that, hopefully. But this was kind of an impromptu purchase, travel, whatever. I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and he pretty much told me that I need to get my butt there. And so I'm going to Brick World Chicago, and I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be my first brick convention or anything like that. So, all right, Angela, I really get confused when you say you get 20% off if you know what you're doing. So I was going to go into the questions that were already submitted to me, but since Ashton, yours is right there, let's get into it. So, I mean, if there's a set that you want to buy to resell and it's not 20% off, I mean, just be patient. Now, there are times where you need to exercise patience more than other sets out there, right? So for example, there are some architecture sets out there that really aren't discounted that much. The new Japanese temple that's coming out at the end of the year, because that's such a great set, I don't necessarily expect that to be discounted often, but it will be discounted often, right? Now there are some sets that are discounted not all the time, but 90% of the time, 20% off. So part of what what you're doing is, and I get a lot of questions. I've been getting a lot of questions on that lately on TikTok, right? But I guess I could explain to you what, if you know what you're doing, is, right? It isn't, impulse shopping. It isn't doing your due diligence. It's not networking and talking to other resellers out there, right? If you know what you're doing is probably a list of 20 different things, right? Now, sometimes you only need 10 of those 20 things to apply to a certain set or a certain theme or a certain buying opportunity, right? So whenever you ask, I really get confused when you say to get 20% off if you know what you're doing. I mean, Amazon should be that venue for you. And if it's not, just be a little bit patient, right? Because right now We're practically in the middle of the year. School's just about to get out. There's still a lot of buying time, right? And here's the deal: Amazon isn't the only one out there. Knowing what you're doing is your price alerts, right? You got to sign up to do price alerts. There's a lot of things out there. What I'm afraid I'm going to answer these questions and not go to the other ones, but I'll answer a couple of these. What do you think of the current Star Wars battle packs? I mean, I'm a battle pack fan. I don't like the price increase, but sometimes it's merited. You need to ask your a better question, and I say this respectfully to you, Kyle. Is a better question is, what do you think of the exclusive battle packs out there? I think that's more of an astute question and something that people should potentially look into. Ashton says, I got 2 Boba Fett's throne rooms for $63. Congratulations. Do you think I will get a decent ROI increase? Hopefully you will. I mean, that's a set that's $100, right? So if it goes to 150, let's say it tops out at 150, right? That is a stinker performer, right? But the good news is it's a stinker performer at $100. But the good news is at $63, that should be great. Real quick, if you don't mind, because I'm just going to cut to some people that have submitted questions beforehand. The first question is from Chris. This was a question that was so nice, he decided to email it to me twice. He says, Jim, do you think there's a video you should do about the writer's strike directly affecting the Stranger Things franchise? I mean, we are waiting for the movie release to be announced, to unload the Brickhead set. Maybe the delay will make the set perform even better. So here's my question for you. Before you purchased that Stranger Things Brickhead set, if that's what we're specifically talking about, what price did you say you were going to sell it on, right? Because I said this during the last live stream. Anytime you purchase a product, something for resale, you should already have a price on it, right? So let's say the writer's strike goes a year. I'd be surprised if it did, but let's say it does. If it hits your price 6 months from now, why don't you sell it, right? Now, here's the deal. You may say to yourself, well, Jim, that's great, but I want it to go up in value even more. And I get that. I'm on board. I'm on your team, right? But let's say you have 50 of those brickheads, right? Just for fun, sell 50 of them, okay? Or I'm sorry, sell half of them. And then just save the other half for, if you think the price is going to go up more. And if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. You already were able to cash out half of your inventory and scoop up other sets that just retired or are going to retire. So it shouldn't mess up your game plan that much, right? The thing is, you don't, for me, because I don't give advice, you don't want to nickel and dime your percentages, right? I have used this example almost ad nauseum where, there's a set that you might like and it's 20% off. It's on the retirement list, but you saw it for 25% off 3 months ago, and you're 100% certain it's going to be 25% off before the inventory dries out, and then it doesn't, right? So you didn't purchase it because you wanted that extra 5%, and the inventory's dried up. And guess what? 2 years from now, you're going on Amazon. You're like, hey, let me check out that set number 10XYZ, right? And you're like, man, I can't believe how well that's doing. Was it really worth that extra 5%? So that's my opinion. If you already have a price on it and it has hit that price or it's going to hit that price and the writer's strike is still going on, then that, my opinion is to just sell it. All right, we have some other questions. So one of my favorite guys, Troy, he says, would love to know how you suggest to locate a good accountant in your area that would support and understand the reselling business. In Canada, I'm having very tough time sourcing someone who understands what we're trying to accomplish here. So I read this question earlier, and because I was trying to come up with a good answer to it. I guess my first answer is Um, don't hire an accountant. Hire a tax attorney. This is the first time I'm using a tax attorney, and up to this point, and I think I mentioned this last time. Up to this point, I mean, it's amazing. This guy is somebody that I would take a bullet for at the moment. Now, hopefully, that will continue, and I'm pretty confident that it will. But you don't necessarily need to know a tax attorney or accountant if you want to go that route who understands reselling, right? In my opinion, you need to find somebody that understands the tax laws, right? Because it doesn't necessarily matter if they're doing taxes on a person who has a business that has Legos that appreciate in value, right? I mean, there are just because it's Legos doesn't mean there aren't other things that have certain businesses that appreciate, right? I mean, Target, let's use Target or Toys R Us in Canada. Um, they buy low and sell high too. It's a different model. That's more of a retail model. Ours is a little bit different, but it's kind of the same thing. I mean, this guy, I don't want to get too personal, but if this goes the way it goes, I'm not afraid to say this, but I'm afraid to say this because there are other people who'll be like, "Oh my gosh!" But I was able to have a total of $130,000, I think, of taxes or of deductions um, from last year, right? So I should be getting estimated between $20,000 and $30,000 back on my IRS, and that's the way it is. If you're an S corp, it's funny. I talk to very successful business people, and occasionally taxes will come up, and they're like, "What about taxes here?" And I'm like, "I don't pay taxes." And they're like, "What about this one area?" And I was like, "You know what? In this one area, I do pay taxes, but when you throw that in, when you plug that into the overall thing, I I don't pay taxes, and because I'm getting such a large tax return, I honestly don't care about that little piece. It doesn't bother me. That is something that I don't want to stick in my head and be a distraction, right? Because I know there are some people out there that they let taxes just control them, right? And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be aware of what's going on with taxes, but for better or for worse, and what I really mean to say is for worse, taxation is just life, right? But at the same time, taxation is theft too. So I hope I was able to answer that question. Let me go to JL. JL, he says, I'm interested in FBA versus FBM a bit more in depth. Example, doesn't FBA mean you win the buy box more often, so it's easier to sell sets? Also interested in return requests, just always refund to keep the happy versus fight hard. Okay, so this could be a 2 hour long answer, JL, so I don't want to get that involved in it. I will say ahead of time, if you haven't already, download my free ebook. You don't need to have a credit card attached to it. You can just download it for free and off you go. I'm happy to give it to you and have a nice day. But I do want to talk about something here. Does FBA mean you win the buy box more? Not necessarily, man. I did a class, if you want to call it that, a Patreon video on the 4 things you could do to win the buy box. And if you do those things, you're rocking and rolling. And if you don't know yet, when you have that buy box, you feel it in your phone. Your phone is the alerts are going off on your Amazon app. But the other part of the question, also interested in return requests, just always refund to keep them happy versus fight hard. It all depends, my friend. It all depends. I mean, there are some times where I'll say to myself, you know what, this guy has it coming, and I'm going to fight hard. But at the end of the day, going back to taxes from the previous question, it should all come out in a wash. And here's the deal: your returns should only be, at worst 1 to not even 2%, right? So when you, and again, not trying to nickel and dime it, and I'm not saying that I'm invalidating you because you want to fight a return, right? I'm never going to tell you to just never fight returns, because when I was doing it on eBay, it was like a laser for me. There was a firewall and no one was getting past me. But there are some times where you just have to let it go, and occasionally, you will get not blacklisted, but you'll go on a list on Amazon because you're fighting every case, right? So JL, I hope I was able to answer that. Let me just check the chat box right here. We are rocking and rolling today. Um, Apologize. I'm just trying to catch up here. Oh, I like this. People speak about the emotional part of investing because you like the set personally versus getting a deal 20% discount and knowing it should sell well in a year or two because others like this theme. I mean, that's true. So broadly, psychology is a big deal when it comes to anything, right? But when it comes to reselling, I remember when I first got on BrickPicker, right? And I apologize if some of you have already heard this story. This was like my first week on BrickPicker, and there was some fellow. He was on the forum, and he's like, "I don't know how you guys can do it. I walk into my spare bedroom." And I see, 100 Lego sets up on the wall, and I just want to open them all up. And I was like, for Pete's sake, man, use some self control. I'm here to help you if you want it. But I mean, there are some times. So let's talk about it, right? There's an emotional part. Let's talk about the Batcave now, right? Let's get it out of the gate. Let me tell you, I don't give advice on my YouTube channel, but if there was one piece of advice I would give you, do not buy that Batcave for reselling. All right, absolutely do not do it. Now, having said that, and having me be a huge fan of Batman, do I want to be there on opening day whenever they sell that Batcave? Hell yeah, I do, because I think it's great. And in all honesty, I want two Batcaves. I want to make it one square box. And there's enough room that you could purchase a lot of ancillary sets, Batman ancillary sets, and put in there and make it look bad to the bone. Now, am I going to open it up? Am I going to go there on opening day and purchase that bad boy? No. Do you know why? Because I know that set by all means checks off all the boxes for a terrible set that you shouldn't buy. So I'm hoping they're going to do with that the same thing that they did with the Black Panther bust. I am hoping that they discount that to 40%. But let me tell you, man, I guarantee you there's somewhere on this planet that there is one person who loves the fact that Black Panther bust is 40% off, right? And when they wake up in the morning and they turn on their light and they're going down the hallway, there are 4 Black Panther busts on the right. There's 4 Black Panther busts on the left. And every time he walks or she walks down that hallway, it's a great thing to them. So getting back to the emotional part of it, you need to, if you don't mind, I'm going to replace that word emotional with discipline, right? Because are there some sets that I want right now that are retiring? Absolutely. Are they discounted? Absolutely not. So what do, right? You say to yourself, okay, should I buy half of the sets that I want right now? So when and if they go on 20%, that means the cost dollar averaging, it's 10%. I'm not going to do that. But here's the deal, right? And I've said this recently. This is the best time to be, I don't want to say the best time. This is one of the best times to be a Lego reseller. And the reason why that is because there's such a broad selection of good sets, right? It wasn't like that in the past, right? There would be 2 or 3 sets tops, And that was it. Now it's like not every month, but every couple of months you're like, wow, I mean, that's bad to the bone, right? Like that Boba Fett mech, right? That's bad to the bone. And let me tell you, man, I love that stormtrooper. I want to have like 50 of those stormtrooper mechs. I want a stormtrooper mech army. I think that would be amazing. So I feel like I'm getting long-winded uh, with your question, but I hope I was able to answer that. Is selling on eBay or Amazon better? Ashton, you're asking a lot of good questions, but you're asking a lot of great questions that require long answers. So, and I don't have the time to do all that. So, in short, I'm going to say, um, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with eBay. There's nothing wrong with Amazon too. It's good to use both of them in tandem or other avenues out there. Walmart, right? It's been a while since I've talked about Walmart because Walmart reselling on Walmart, 2 years ago was crap. And then I talked to a reseller this past Q4, and he's like, "Dude, I made 30,000 on Walmart, and all my returns came back almost in pristine condition." Right. So when you're asking what is better, you in my opinion, you want to ask, do I want to use one or the other, or do I want as much sales velocity as I want, right? Because the more sales velocity you have, the more the products are pushing out, the more you're generating that revenue, and you're able to flip it, right? I mean, it takes, I think it's 32 times, it's either 24 or 32 times to flip a penny into 1.2 million dollars or something like that. You got to look at it as you're just flipping the money. You're just redoing it. So if you're able to flip the money on multiple platforms, now there will be some might have 5 or 10% more ROI than the other one, and you need to ask yourself if that's a right fit for you. I can't answer that. My goodness, we're getting to the first Corey question today. I'm surprised we haven't been on Corey earlier. FBA more returns since they ship so much in bags and not in a box. That is correct. Kevin again, he says on eBay I always tick does it accept return box. Yep. Troy Tucker, late again. Hey, Troy, I answered your question already. So I hope you're able to watch it at the beginning. Yeah, and Corey has a great point. All selling venues have issues. I mean, it's not always perfect. All right, so I think we're caught up on the chat boxes. Now I'm going to go to some other questions that were sent to me, if I can find them. So for those of you that might be coming a little bit late, I had to restart the live chat, and so my windows had to get shuffled a little bit. So I'm just finding my bearings and pulling up these questions. All right, here we go. This is from Wade B. Do you deduct your Lego sets when purchased? I mean, I expense them, right? I imagine this changes the game quite a bit. I may not be able to catch the stream, but I've always watched after. Cheers. Well, thanks, Wade. I appreciate that. So everything, I mean, the way I'm set up is everything is a deduction, right? So when I'm going to Brickworld, Virginia, I'm sorry, when I'm going to Brickworld, Chicago next month, you're darn right that's going to be a deduction. Now here's a preview of a video you're not going to see until next year. But whenever I leave Brickworld Chicago, I'm going to be recording a video where I'm going to be driving back home, and we're going to see how many of one exclusive Lego set I could fit in my car. And I'm waiting 8 9 months, just because as I have a responsibility to my Patreons, is I'm okay if I indirectly share with people that are non-Patreons, what is going on. And yes, did I pick up a medieval blacksmith on sale? Yes, I did. No big deal. But when it's something like that, I want to be a little bit of a protectionist when it comes to that information. But yeah, I'm saying this because even if I wasn't necessarily going to Brick World Chicago, but I was driving to Chicago to see family, which I think I might do while I'm there, because the convention center is like 2 miles away from where some family members live. I would still shoot that video and do a bit of a cannonball run from Illinois back to Kentucky, and see how many of this one exclusive set I could fill up in my Chevy Impala. So that's a video to catch coming winter of 2024. What other questions do we have? Ryan, he says, where do people in the U.S. Get access to poly bags and foil packs? It could be a very elementary question. It is, but that's okay. But pretty newish to collecting Lego. We get them almost anywhere. That we get them at Target. We get them at Walmart. We get them anywhere. Now the problem is it's not like a regular Lego set, right? You can't just type in that set number on a big box store app and expect there to be truthful information, right? So it's kind of like you just have to go there and hope for the best. And it looks like there was 7 answers below that, so hopefully Ryan got that answered. My buddy Corey, here we go. When to sell? I read this question a couple days ago, or maybe yesterday. When to sell? A set that is doing good and quickly reaches your price target will probably keep going up. Then there are more sets that after 2 to 3 years seem to never reach your target. Yeah. So, I mean, let's talk about. No, we're not going to talk about the Olafs. It was fine. It was weird. So somebody, somebody on TikTok is like, "Hey, how are those Olafs doing?" And I'm like, you know what? It wasn't the worst for me, but they were doing pretty good because I was able to purchase at a low price. But let's talk about the Imperial hotels, man. That was something that just if a Wolf Farm, if I ever had a dollar for every time I heard that. We're, Imperial hotels, that's where we were. That was a pain, man. I mean, when I finally decided to sell those, did I make money off of them? Yeah, but it was terrible. And I don't want to say I should have predicted that, because that was one of 4 Frank Lloyd Wright architecture sets. It was the last one. And I would probably have said least popular, but it was, if you want to call it a licensed Frank Lloyd Wright set, which, a lot of people purchase. Funny thing is, I don't have the time to do this now, but whenever I would sell Lego sets to people on eBay, if they had an interesting address, I would Google where that address was, right? And there were some people that had Lego sets going to architecture firms and things of that sort. So I thought it would at least be a little bit more popular, but it really wasn't. Now, there is going to be a time, I mean, I'm just going to share it with you guys. This should be no no surprise. I mean, I have 350 ATSTs, right? Would I like to make money off of those? Absolutely, I would. But something's got to give. So I don't plan on dumping all 350 of them this Q4, but we'll see what the price action is on Amazon and other places. And I might go ahead and let them go. And I don't like to be cryptic. I hope people know that. But, one good thing that happened to me this week is, we've kind of gone into some sort of, and again, I apologize for not being cryptic, agreement with another business that has interest in some of our inventory, right? So, we're using more than just Amazon and eBay. We were also using other means that I've, said in the past I can't get into, but now there's this other thing too. So, hopefully that will maybe soften the blow a little bit whenever it comes to my ATSTs. So uh, I see a lot of things on the chat box. David Lewis, do you use Excel spreadsheets to manage your inventory, sales, history, stock on hands, etc.? The short answer is yes. Now we have on the Patreon side, we have an Excel spreadsheet that everybody has access to download if they want to, and that's I mean that is pretty intense. And I'm not saying that in a good way or bad way. I would be surprised if everybody used everything that was provided in that spreadsheet because we try to give a lot of. I didn't develop the spreadsheet. I found this spreadsheet online and I approached this gentleman and I said, listen, I said, I know you sell this spreadsheet for X amount of dollars, right? I think it was like $12 each. I said, I would like to have this for my Patreon. If I gave you, and I guess there's no problem saying it, I said, if I give you $500 tomorrow, would you be okay if I uploaded that to my Patreon and people could share with it? And he wanted to sleep on it, which is fine. But he replied back the next day and he said, yeah, go ahead and knock yourself out. So I do use Excel for inventory. We do a different type of Excel on the business side too. But, it's a sales sheet, right? It says what we sold it at. It's, there's the shipping, there's the box fees, there's everything, right? Just because I have Lego coming out of my warehouse doesn't mean that I don't keep track on all that other stuff. And I still charge myself a fulfillment fee too because if there's ever a time where I don't need to charge myself that fee, that's great. But just to be safe, I go ahead and do that. Do you think the bonsai tree is at a good price for $40? And when do you think it will retire? No idea when it will retire. So do I think it's at a good price at $40? I do. And here's I am going to fire a lot of questions at you, and there's a reason for that because I want you to benefit from this, and I want other people that are listening to potentially benefit from this. You asked me a question: do I think this set is good? And I said, I do. I think it was good. But why did I give that answer, right? I gave that answer because I did some due diligence. And I'm not saying that you may not have done that already. But if you go to Camel 3X, you could clearly see. I don't know if Camel 3X will give it because a lot of times the prices are more. It's more of a guide than 100% accurate. But I think back during COVID, bonsai trees are going for like 125, maybe $150, right? So that's why I'm able to, spit that answer out off the top of my head. Now, when it will retire, I'm really not sure. To be honest, I'm surprised that Lego keeps on pushing out all these botanical sets and they have yet to retire. But Jim, there's some on the retirement list for this year. Yes, but nothing retires until it retires, right? Kyle the Free, thank you. Some of the old clone battle packs went up highly. Yep, in ROI. I believe they went for like 12 to $90. Absolutely. They are current. They might hit the same trend. I think so. I mean, what do you think? I mean, let me ask you a question. Do you think some of those exclusive battle packs will do the same trend. I mean, I do. Um, Call the free Kyle. You can ask as many questions as you want. We're here till 10 o'clock my time. We got 20 minutes. I said that at the beginning for the people that came in late. I apologize. Um, but there's just some other things going on. So Kyle says, I'm not sure which ones are exclusive. Now, that's a great point, right? Because there was a time, and I always hate whenever I would go to a job, right? I would go to a new job and they would always talk about the good old days, right? And I'm like, that's done, right? So I don't want to keep on talking about, I don't want to call them good old days, but the old days, right? But there was a time where, Lego only put out a few exclusive sets and everybody knew what they were, right? Because they announced them. Now it's a little bit tricky. So my up not next week's Patreon bonus video is going to be on exclusive sets. I'm going to be talking about overcoming quantity limits and stuff like that. But I think the first week of the following month, I'm going to talk about exclusives. I would like to put together a list of exclusive sets and then also identify which ones are retiring and kind of rank them by how I think they would perform. Yeah, there's really no guide or website that has a list of all of that. But I hope to break out the Excel in the next week or two and put that together. Do you think the Republic fighter tank is a good investment? Likely over hoarded, my friend. This is the only thing I'm going to say about that. If you ever say to yourself, wow, this is an obviously good set, I wonder why Jim's not talking about it. It's probably because I believe it's such a good set that I don't want people to to get an inkling, because I'm not joking. I've had not come to Jesus moments, but I've had interventions with some people, and they were like, "Listen, we like being your friend, but you absolutely cannot talk about some of these sets, or we're just going to ghost you from now on." There are some, and there was a set. I forget what it was. And I mean, I'm just going to give you an example. So last year, I was going down some retirement list, and the last Lego set of that theme was, in my opinion, a slam dunk winner. And when I was doing a lightning round, and I went down the sets, I said, this is the only thing I said. I said, in this set right here, I don't own yet, which I didn't. But after that video, I planned on getting, 200 to 300 of them. So I'm going to Brick World Chicago, right? Specifically for some reasons, not just to, be social. And some of the things that I'm going to do there is I'm going to listen to what people say, but I'm also going to listen to what some people don't say too. So I hope I was kind of able to help you out with that. Uh, right, right. Yeah, okay. Uh, Have I ever set up a booth at a convention? I have not. And here's the deal. This was kind of a spur of the moment thing. I feel like I need to turn on another light. It's kind of dark right here. Me going there has kind of been a short notice thing. So I don't plan on doing a booth. There are some people I know that are going there that do have booths. And so Brickworld, Virginia is going to be that Saturday and Sunday. But they also sell tickets starting from Tuesday to Sunday for, I don't want to say the non-public, because I'm nobody special, right? And I bought a ticket. But that's going to be where some work and some, some social things are going. And I've chatted with some people. I said, if you need help manning a booth or just answering questions, I'm happy to be a body and just if you need to take a lunch break or something like that, and I can watch your stuff, I'm happy to do that. Kevin says, unrelated to today, but did you catch up with Jake? Yeah. Yes, as a matter of fact, I was going to mention that, but I forgot, Kevin. So thank you. Yeah, Jake Spricks and I had our first long chat today. We've been playing phone tag for maybe a year now, right? And we had a great talk. He has tentatively agreed to join us on the July Patreon call. It was good to hear his background. And, we have some things in common outside of Lego. And, he is one of my favorite YouTubers. I'm not, if you guys knew me for 10 years, you would know I don't kiss butt or anything like that. But I think it's great. I told him, I said, listen, I said, I'm really happy that I have a warehouse filled with Lego, but you got to understand how envious I am that I can't go there all the time because your thumbnails are such a flex. I mean, his thumbnails, and I say this in a friendly way. Those thumbnails where you see all of that inventory in the back is just, I mean, it's chef's kiss, right? So yes, I did talk to Jake, and that is a relationship I hope to continue to grow. Marco, I've been watching your YouTube videos since the early ones. Thank you. With the Simpsons house pile up on your dinner table, son's college fund. You remember? Yeah, you just warmed my heart, Marco. Thanks for all the pearls of wisdom. Thank you. Yeah, he does, Troy, doesn't he? Because I'm like, dang, right? And here's the deal, like, so when it comes to me buying exclusives, right? So I can't ship everything to the warehouse. When it comes to Target, it's like, okay, I'll go to my local Target and bring it home. So eventually, I'm probably going to have enough inventory again where I could set up some more shelves, and if you want to call it flex, some retired sets. But yeah, I like his thumbnails a lot, and his TikTok is great too. I don't want to get into it, but I highly encourage people. You don't necessarily have to follow me on TikTok, but I highly encourage you, if you're not on TikTok yet, to get on TikTok. TikTok is, I'm not exaggerating here. 10 years from now, you're going to look back and you're going to see I'm right. TikTok is YouTube's slow death. And TikTok is so innovative. TikTok is the Sonic Lego theme, and YouTube is the Mario Lego theme, right? So that's it. David Lewis, I know you like a good investment opportunity. Did you ever deep dive into crypto? It's been a huge winner for me. Well, David, if you haven't heard the story, I was buying crypto when it was $70, right? I made $20,000 in less than 48 hours. And then the next day, I lost $25,000, but right, because crypto is what a free market is, right? I was paying attention to crypto when it was $3, and when it was $30, I was screaming off of rooftops trying to figure out how to purchase crypto and trying to find somebody to purchase crypto for me. And then I came across Mt. Gox, and then I only lost one Bitcoin in Mt. Gox, but I put 13 grand into crypto one day, and I walked into a Fifth Third Bank with the instructions of what they need to do, and they're like, what exactly is this? I have no idea what you're doing. And so yeah, but I got out and broke even. And the reason why I got out was because the market, the exchanges kept on crashing, right? It wasn't that I had faith in Bitcoin. I have immense faith in Bitcoin. I don't have faith in a lot of people that, like the Winklevoss twins that went into Bitcoin and things like that, because I think the big whales ruin it. They make it more of a rigged market versus a free market, but the Bitcoin market is the freest market out there. There's this one guy, and I apologize. I thought about finding a way to put this into a video, and I was like, no, don't do it. But since you asked me, I'm going to mention this. So back in 2012, 2013, right? There was this guy, his name's Da Vinci. And the people that are heavy into crypto may know who Da Vinci is. I think he's still on YouTube. This guy, and I'm not trying to put his business out there, but this was an average blue collar guy, right? And he had these Bitcoin mines, these little machines. And I used to be able to mine Bitcoin on my laptop. This is back whenever this stuff was easy to do. And this guy, like, he was so passionate about it and so passionate about it. And then I think his something happened in his family, and he said, screw this, I'm out of here. So he put all of his Bitcoins on a flash drive, and he went to South America and waited till his family stuff died down and the dust cleared. And I recently caught up with him on TikTok. I might say caught up. I didn't talk to him. He wouldn't remember who I am if I did reach out to him. But this guy, I think he has at least 100,000 followers, and this dude is loaded now. And it's really cool to see people that were in crypto way back then in where they are now. I think that's awesome. Let's see. Do you do much selling in Q1 to Q3? We're not in June yet. I know June, when we got everything into the warehouse, my first month I did $7,000. I think that's good. There are other people at the warehouse that doesn't think that's good, but it's fine. And again, we now have this partnership, which, again, I'm sorry about being cryptic into it, where I don't want to be arrogant and by any means imply that I don't need Amazon anymore, but I'm happy to be selling on Amazon. But there are other venues out there where I just don't have to rely on Amazon as much. Yeah, David Lewis, you know Da Vinci. Yeah, so Da Vinci, real quick, and I apologize for kind of getting off the path of Lego. It's just I don't talk about this stuff anymore. So if you know Da Vinci, you may know Brother John F., right? If you know Brother John F., you may say to yourself, oh, that's where Jim's videos look so familiar, right? So yeah, Da Vinci, Brother John F., there was a whole community back then. There was Silver Futurist. All of them were good people. Most of them were. I think one of them was a federal agent, but that's just me. Why are Stranger Things brickheads not selling? I don't know. Guess how many Stranger Things brickheads I have? Boom. I have 0. I'm not sure. But if you have them, I hope they sell for you. My wife almost murdered me over the AMC short stock run that Reddit championed until she saw the payout. Yeah. That was great. All right. So it looks like people have stopped writing. So I may do a last call. I was going to put a lid on it at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're now 6 minutes in front of that. So I'll go ahead and I'll do the last call right now. I'll choose Lego over crypto every day. Well, so there are a lot of bad actors when it comes to crypto. I'm a huge fan of the freedom of crypto. And let me say this: you guys want to hear something funny? I don't want to go there, but I will. So when you hear people say crypto is freedom, people don't necessarily get it, right? And I think I shared this one other time. But the reason why Bitcoin went from $3 to $7 was because WordPress started accepting Bitcoin. Now, why was that so important? Well, it was so important because there are certain countries out there that have, unfortunately, terrible humanitarian records, right? And that stuff needs to be documented. And if you're in a country that uh, it's illegal to have certain currency, you could easily mine at the time Bitcoin on your laptop and pay for things to WordPress, and you're able to get that information out. So that is an example whenever you hear Bitcoin is freedom. Uh, what is your favorite Lego theme to invest in? My favorite theme to invest in is the one that wins. Um, I don't necessarily think I have a particular theme. There are many sub themes. I mean, there's quite a few Star Wars sub themes that I just love, and that's a complete turnaround. I mean, is there anybody here that remembers when Star Wars Lego was not popular? I mean, there was a time like back in 2013 where Star Wars Lego just kept on cranking out sets, and there really weren't that many A-fulls out there, right? So it was just like another Star Wars Lego set. So um, I do like some Star Wars Lego sets. What else do I like? Um, I mean, I'm looking at uh, some Speed Champions. Uh, I mean, I like a lot of exclusives. I would say right now I've purchased more exclusive sets this year than I have in the past, which is what I'm wanting to do. Right, I'm wanting to get away of from buying the $10 sets, and I'm wanting to buy more exclusives. And I think that is putting me on a better path and a path that I'm comfortable with. Star Wars sets are getting crazy expensive now. Yeah, I almost, what, I almost feel like that there's some stiff suit in. We know you like Friends sets, yeah, and there will be. There's going to be another Friends Patreon video coming up soon. Somebody messaged me today and they said, "Hey, can you do a video on Friends?" And I was like, "Well, I've never had that request before, even though I've made Friends videos for Patreon, but absolutely because they have a new theme now, right? Is there a mute button? I need a cough. You know what? One of the things that sucks about this live chat is this is the second live chat in a row that I brought my water bottle and I forgot to take a sip, and now I have a dry mouth, and now there's only a couple minutes left. So why take a few seconds and quench my thirst? Friends is underrated. That is correct. Andrew picked up an Imperial Star Destroyer for $450. High five to you. You did get really lucky. I'm happy for you. George Brandis, Porsche 911 recently. Long, yeah, it does have a long shelf life. I like it, but the long shelf life is making me nervous. So yeah, Dark Horse, I own Bitcoin and Lego. Good for you. That's great. Yeah, anytime you need to flee the country, you could email yourself some Bitcoin, and that's the thing. People don't even know that you could email yourself Bitcoin. How is the luxury watch venture? Well, let's do a watch check, right? I have my Seiko Panda watch. This watch, I can't remember how much this is. This is like I do not call this a luxury. This right here is I would say the Toyota Avalon of watches, right? Where it's not a Lexus, but it's a poor man's Lexus. Yeah, so honestly, the luxury watch, I haven't had a lot of time recently to check the market. I've just been so busy, and it's insane to say that because I want to make it clear when people say they're constantly busy, that's not a flex, right? It just means you don't know how to manage your time. And I'm at the point where I feel like I'm not just busy. I need to manage my time better. So I feel like I need to manage my time better. But I just haven't had a lot of time for anything really. Will Mos Eisley retire this year? Justin, I wish I knew the answer to that. Are you asking that question because you want to buy it or you want to resell it? If you want to buy it for yourself, just go ahead and buy one now. That was discounted on Amazon maybe a month ago, or maybe it was like the week before the May the 4th promo. It was discounted on Amazon. It was a good deal. Kevin, just quickly, I picked up some Friend sets that were MSRP 175. We're selling for 35 flash sale. I managed to grab 5. Yes. Good for you. All right. Amazing. Congrats, buddy. These new friend sets are, yeah, the new friend sets are amazing. I think the theme is just getting more popular with the kids. And here's the deal. I mean, if you have the Lego channel on Roku, right, they are cranking them out. The Ninjago show is that is coming out is there's a lot of press about it. There's a lot of chatter. And guess what? Those kids will eventually be grown-ups with cash. And that's what you want to do. You want to hook them in at an early age, right? You want to get the gateway drug going with the TV show. And then 15 to 20 years later, you want them at the counter dropping $300 worth of Ninjago sets at the Lego store. Okay. UCS plaque on the playset. First run of Lego Star Wars dioramas retiring soon. I'm expecting and hoping them to be a big hit in retirement. I'm expecting that too, George. Ashton, Washington. I wish I could plant camera in Lego stores and see what people look at the most. It's fun to people watch at Lego stores, right? Like I was waiting for somebody, a couple years ago at the Lego store in Columbus. They just went in and to grab something, and this guy came out with like these 5 yellow bags, and he's like looking at me because he saw that I was looking at him. So, but all right, folks, I love this. I hope you enjoy it too. This wasn't intended to be a monthly thing, but it kind of turned into that because I had so much fun. I'm making the commitment to do, at least 10 of these the first 10 months, and then we'll go ahead and see how it goes. All the Patreons that joined, thank you so much for participating. Have a good night. I hope I was able to answer your questions. And that's about it. Real quick, the only thing I'm going to say is if anybody has any ideas for videos for me to do, feel free to reach out to me because, I do put out a lot of content. And so the well in my head runs dry sometimes. I do have some good things lined up soon. But I'm always looking for ideas. So shoot me an email if you like. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.